So today's the first day that I get the opportunity to play around with our new toy, our new John Deere X730. And I figured, you know what, I'll do a walk around on it and do a little review on it because, let's face it, you guys might come for the tractors, but you stay for this beautiful face, right? Anyway, you know, I really don't think that there is any greater bond than between a man and his tractor. You know, besides marriage or whatever, you know, I'm not married, so I can't say. But, yeah, anyway, I figured I'd just give a small review / walkthrough on it. So, here we go. So this is a John Deere X730. Now, this particular lawnmower came from the factory down in Moline. What they do down there is they give little factory tours, and they use small lawn tractors like this one to carry around carts on the back that are hooked up to, well, carts that carry around people that can tour the factory itself. So they get used pretty lightly. This has very low miles. It says very low hours on it because they don't hardly use it. I mean, they just hook one up and use it for a while and then sell it for a discounted price. So the mower deck is a 54-inch mower deck. And it's brand new, except for what you see I got dirty on it. The whole thing's a little bit dirty because I was fighting death through a war zone down there behind the machine shed. But I was thinking about taking the baler down there in a few days, once it dries out, and baling it up and selling it for grass bales. Anyway, this mower deck is new because they didn't have it hooked up when they were using it to carry around people. It's got fancy-pantsy taillights on it, brake lights, and reverse lights. It's got a 12-volt charge on it for those of you who might want to charge your cell phones or something like that. I don't know, I never had use for one of those, but whatever. Got a cup holder and a handy little storage compartment. On our dash, we've just got the fuel and the engine temp and then the hour meter up there. Nothing too fancy. Then we got our parking brake, PTO to run, key switch, engine speed. And over here we got the power for the 12-volt outlet down here. So if you want to use it, just flip that baby on. She's good to go. Then below that we got the lights. 2 settings. It's got an adjustable seat on it. And when I first started, it was cutting a little close to the grass. Like right there, let's say. It was down all the way. We actually raised it up now. How you do that is this little knob here. You can adjust where it's at. They recommend 2.5. Right now it's set for 2. And it was down to 1, so that was a little close, so we brought it up a little bit. They even put mud flaps on the front. Can you believe that? On a lawnmower. You know what? I'll start getting impressed when they put 4-wheel drive on lawnmowers this size. We got our front bracket for things such as, I don't know, snowplow or whatever you can mount on it. We've never really used anything on the front. It's got hydraulic steering. You can see the cylinder there, so that's pretty fancy. Our last one had that too, but a lot of the older ones don't. And something you're starting to see now on these newer mowers is this little cleaner. And what you do is you get a garden hose, you just hook it up to that, and you turn it on, then you turn on the water, and then you turn on the mower deck. You let it sit. Let it sit and run, and it beats down all that muck and grime underneath. I bet if I pull this up, it's just going to be, well, it's not too bad now, I guess. Earlier, when I was going through some wetter stuff like this up here, it's just a muck. But that gets all that off of there, and it's usually a good habit to get into doing, to clean it off right after you finish mowing so it's still wet. It comes off pretty easy, and it keeps it from building up like that. I mean, this mower's brand new, and it already looks like that, so. This thing has a nicer seat than my car. So, if you want to go ahead and start, what you usually got to do is release the brake. She's good to go. Now all you have to do is put your foot back on the brake, press it in, turn the knob, and start her up. I mean, driving a lawnmower is pretty self-explanatory. For some of the younger viewers out there, I mean, odds are if you already don't know how to drive a lawnmower, the seat weight is going to prevent you from driving one of these. What I used to do is I used to get a bunch of books, set them down on the seat, and then I could mow like that because the extra weight of the books would be enough weight to keep her going. So that's what I used to do. Now if I turn on the console lights, pretty fancy. Then if you look back here, we even have reversing lights. I mean, that's just ridiculous. For a lawnmower, it's crazy. So now I'm just gonna get a couple shots of me running it, and that'll be it. So I hope you learned a little bit of something from this video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. I call this cutting with the contours. Not really. Another thing I forgot to add is a strange little button down here. Now, what I guess this is what they call Rio, and that is so that you can back up and reverse. If I press this and hold it, I can back up and the mower deck won't shut off. I mean, I don't really get that because you can do the exact same thing if you hold out on this. I don't really understand why you need two buttons to do that, but it's what they did. Now, if I don't press that in, I back up, it shuts off. So, yeah, I don't really get why they have an extra button there just for that. I mean, this is enough for me, but whatever. Then another thing I forgot to add was the cruise control. It's a pretty fancy little button for just the cruise. On our last mower, they had a handle that you pulled up. Well, it was junk because the handle that you used to pull up on was plastic. So you'd pull up on it and it'd break off, or at least it did for me one time. So on here, it's just a fancy little metal button that you push in and it locks it into place. Then you're set to go. That's all she wrote, folks. Now I don't really recommend mowing your lawn at night, but it's about to start raining and I really didn't want to stop and have to pick up, you know, whenever it stops raining. Then the lawn would look awkward, so I just decided I'd mow a little past dark and get her done.